This is Umar for BoxNation in association with Global Next Trade, and I've actually just watched the main event back on the DAZN highlights. It gave me a headache ringside. It gave me a headache just now because it was such a good fight. So God knows how Fabio and Joseph feel. Firstly, let's just actually start on that because one was a WBO mandatory, one was a WBA mandatory, and neither of them had to take this, especially Joseph Parker. And what they produced for the O2 and the boxing fans and the public was nothing short of incredible, the pair of them.
It was a classic. I mean, these guys give everything, and that's what they're all about, fighting men. As you say, they didn't have to make the fight, do the fight, but they wanted to, and they wanted to fight each other. And what we got was something special on the night.
Look, you said beforehand it'd be guaranteed fireworks. Did it even exceed your expectations?
Yeah, it did. I didn't feel it'd go the distance. I said that, went in the previews of the fights, but it did. I mean, you know, the first 4 rounds, I thought after 4 rounds it was even. It was an even fight. Second round when Joe's gum shield come out, at that moment I thought maybe if his gum shield hadn't come out, that he was catching him with some good shots. Who knows where that had gone? But he got back into the fight, and I thought he was ahead on points going into that 10th round. And at the end of that 10th round, again he was in a bit of trouble. Joseph having caught um, Fabio quite a few times with some good shots as well. And obviously the next round, I was wondering, had Fabio punched himself out, would Joe be able to come again? And it was just, unbelievable. And the referee was dead on. I hear all these people keep saying about it was too soon. It wasn't. You watch it back as you've done, and you see how many punches he threw, and it's about throwing punches back. And what happened happened, and Tyson, who's Joe's biggest supporter. And I mean, like he says, he's his brother. He said himself, the referee did the right thing, and he did. You don't want to see someone go out the ring on a stretcher. Um, and it was it's funny. Fabio's learning on the job, no amateur experience, come into boxing and gone up levels, and he's gone quite through the levels very quickly. Fighting a number 2 rated fighter in the world, interim champion, and that was a big step up for him. And a lot of his work went undetected as well. He was throwing some good body shots in that fight, some good body shots, but so was Joe. Joe was boxing exceptionally well. That's why it was such a bloody good fight, and it was exciting. Place was on fire. It was rammed, and it was on fire, and it was at a level. These are top level heavyweight fights. This is the best fight and the best.
In terms of the gum shield incident you mentioned there, what did you actually make of it? Is that just part and parcel of boxing, what Joe Parker did there?
Yeah, it happens. We get knocked out, spat out. I mean, look, it was what it was, and it was. And I could see Ben in between rounds screaming at the referee, but that happens, and the referee's never, ever, ever going to disqualify anybody for the first time it happens. It never happens. He would never do that, and in some ways, as much as Fabio would have probably liked it, for the fans, I mean, they went up with a special night, didn't they? A special fight after that he did. The fight did go on.
Yeah. Having said that, though, did you feel in your heart, perhaps, if the gum shield hadn't come out, that Fabio would have stopped Joseph in the second round?
Well, he's a devastating puncher, and he's relentless. I mean, he is relentless, and I think there's a good case he may have done that. He was catching him, and he was and remember, he was fresher at that stage of the fight as well. Second round, he was much fresher, but it is what it is, or it was what it was, and we got something, as I say, very special, very special on the night. He impresses me, Fabio. He impresses me because I look back at the Hooney fight, and he learned from that Hooney fight. He's dangerous. He's done what he had with Hooney. He was a very good boxer, but he's strong. And when he does get caught, he gets his composure back very quickly. I mean, he weren't on the floor. He never went on the floor or anything. Got caught with some good shots, but he doesn't go down. He's got a good whiskers. He's a tough sod, and he does get his composure back, and he gets it back very quickly. I mean, he's a true fighting man, as is Joe. Two true warriors.
Yeah, look, if you go past the second round and go into the middle round, some of the shots that Joseph Parker was landing, I think 90% of heavyweights, if not more, are getting dropped in that ring.
Well, look what he done with Bacoli. You know he can punch.
Yeah. Fabio's just got heart and chin that you very rarely see, Frank.
Yeah. Very rarely. I mean, he has, and he's quite impressive, and he's a really nice bloke as well, really nice guy. Excuse me, and he done it. He just done exceptionally well.
And it's actually not just the heart and chin. I think you made a valid point there about his composure. And another one that sort of reminds me of that, his presence of mind is Tyson when he gets really hurt. His
Yeah,
recovery powers and his ability to actually inflict damage on the opponent after getting hurt. It's just like Fabio.
yeah, he does. He's got very, he gets himself together very quickly and maintains his discipline. He's a bloody good fighter. I just wonder what it'd have been like if he'd had, amateur grounding as well.
It does show sometimes, that amateur boxing doesn't really mean anything when it comes to professional code, Frank.
Well, that's true. That's true. But it's very few fighters can do what he's done. Very few fighters can do that. Come in and do that. Like I mean, he's done the same thing. Um, Anthony Yard, but although he had 11 amateur bouts or whatever it was, he's done the same thing. And there've been a few guys who've come in and had big amateur backgrounds, and some who've come in have been juniors and not had any senior bouts. But you know, you got to take your hat off to him. He's amazing.
So as the rounds were going on during that fight, Frank, what were you thinking? Through 6, 7, 8, what did you think was going to happen?
Well, he was losing some of the rounds, and I just felt though with him and the fact it's not like he was tired and he was fatigued or anything. He seems to keep, as I say, keep himself together. He's got a good engine, and he showed that, and he showed that he can pull big those big punches out the bag, and he sticks to his task. That's what he does, and he's an inward a number 2 heavyweight in the world.
Yeah, he certainly was. Joseph Parker was number 2 going into this.
Yeah.
Right, you touched upon the stoppage. Watching it live, because of the amount of shots that Fabio threw, and I know a lot of them were missing, but the fact that Joseph Parker hadn't thrown a shot for a good 30 or 40 seconds back, I thought the stoppage was completely fair. And some actually felt ringside it could have come earlier. If you watch the 10-second clip back of, the 3 shots at the end, then it definitely does look early, but you've got to take the context of what happened before, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he wasn't. He just wasn't returning as you say, and yeah, of course, some of the shots are catching on the arms and that, but some of them were landing, and they're powerful shots. And and you look at Joe. I mean, listen, Joe never complained. Andy hasn't complained about it. They're proper blokes, and it is what it is. But to people, I mean, what do you want to see happen?
Well, you don't want to see him obviously in a stretcher or
You don't.
worse.
I mean,
I mean,
that's it was what the referees were. The referees stand there, he's running. And I've seen sometimes fights have been stopped prematurely, but you know, this is about this isn't about, someone's got to get smashed to pieces before people believe that the opponent's won the fight. He was not at that stage, he wasn't returning fire. So that and Tyson, as I said, Tyson said the same thing, and he's his biggest supporter. And I'm sitting next to him, listening to it.
Frank, I know it's very, very easy for us to say, Joe Parker's in there getting shots thrown at him left, right, and centre from a hellacious puncher and Fabio Wardley in the 11th round when they're both tired, etc. But should Joe have either taken a knee or held on to Fabio at least?
All those things that you can think about. It's about presence of mind and so forth. And it was the 11th round, and he had the end of the 10th round was quite a torrid. The bell came at the right moment for him. So he had to recover, get over that. He done well. I mean, he's a warrior, Joe Park. I mean, come on, he's it is what it is. You can't change. It's all ifs and whatever. The fact is, it's at the time what's going on, and at the time, at the time, these two guys were giving everything they could give, everything they can give. You know, neither of them they're not the type of fighters who would take a knee.
And I don't mean to take a knee to see the fight. I mean just because he was winning the fight, take a knee, recuperate, and then go in the 12th again and try and nick that round and win the fight.
Maybe that's maybe David did, and it didn't happen, and it is what it is, and you can twist it and say, I don't think, personally, I don't think anyone should even be talking about this. Should savor the moment for what the fight was and try not to take anything away from what the both guys give and what they put into the fight, and more importantly, for the winner of the fight. I'm not going to tarnish it, or people shouldn't be trying to tarnish his win. He won it fair and square. He was a big underdog and done what he had to do, and I'll take my hat off to him. And and both the guys that are with Queensberry, both of them are really two lovely, lovely blokes. A joy to work with.
Let's talk about the futures of both men then. We'll start with Joseph Parker. It does feel like he is actually older than he is because he's been around for so long. He feels like a veteran of the game. Well, in some respects he is, but he's only 33 still. So I know he indicated on the night, and so did Andy Lee, that they'll carry on. So I mean he's surely still going to be involved in some world-class fights, Joe Parker, Frank.
He's a world-class fighter. He's shown that in his previous performances. He's a former world champion too. And he said to me after the fight, let's sit down, let's get something done. I said, look, you go and relax now. You've been in camp. Go and enjoy yourself with your family. We're not far away from Christmas. Go have a good Christmas, and we'll work something out next year. It's not like we're struggling to make fights in the heavyweight division, is it? We'll make a good fight for him.
And then you had loads of them ringside and on stage. I'm just going to throw a few names at you and just tell me whether you go along with these could be potential fights for Parker next year. So you've got, look, the likes of Caballel, Okoli, Dubois, Adelaide, Hrgovic. Does that seem more realistic, those kind of names?
All of them. All of them. All of them do.
And he's always going to be an exciting fight, Parker, to be fair. So.
All these guys, you look at them, they're all look, the heavyweight division has been bloody on fire, hasn't it? I keep saying it. You look at the fights we've had, the couple of Daniel Dubois fights, the one against AJ, the one against the one he had the one he had against Usyk. He went into the deep end there, showed what he's about. The fights that he had out in Riyadh, they were unbelievable fights, all good fights. Look at the fights that Fabio had. That Hooney fight was a bloody exciting fight. Look at the one he had with Fraser Clark, short but sweet and exciting. Look at the fights that Joe Parker's had, Moses has had. It's on fire. The division's on fire. Caballel and Zhang, they're all bloody good fights.
Yeah. Right, let's talk about Fabio's future, which involves one name, Alexander Usyk. Now, everyone wrote him off, and I think back to the Nathan Gorman fight, people were writing Fabio off, too much of a step up. Fraser Clark, both fights. Justice Honey, Joseph Parker. Everyone's going to write him off now against Alexander Usyk. We keep making the same mistake. Can he beat Alexander Usyk, Frank?
If he catches someone, he gives them a problem. But he's boxing a little bit better. Not a little bit. He's boxing better now. Like, as I say, he was throwing some good body shots there. Alexander's a great fighter. He's the fighter of his generation. He's got the 4 belts. He's done everything that's been asked of him. This would be a great fight. And he said before the fight he would fight the winner. I hope he's going to stick to that. It's a big fight in the UK, a massive fight over here. It would do a big gate. And
is it a Wembley fight, Frank?
Yeah, I think it is. And I also believe with Fabio, he's up for it. I mean, he's fearless. I mean, when you look at him, he's not phased by the level that he's going in at, and every level he's gone in at, he's won. He's won the fights, and I say he's got, that's for a reason, because he's got what they call a leveler. It's that, and when he catches you with him, you are in trouble. If he was catching Usyk or anyone like he was, you got to have some chin to withstand that.
Yeah. Do you know when this fight has got to take place before Usyk is either stripped or vacates the belt?
WBO have their convention, which starts tomorrow in Colombia.
Yeah.
And they will then say we've got a period of time to negotiate. And if we can't agree terms, then it will go out to purse bids.
Okay. Yeah, I know Lee Ian's gone out there, so he'll be keeping tabs on that. Okay. So, but in your mind, do you expect Usyk-Wardley to take place sort of springtime 2026? Is that what we're
If
looking
it does, that's when it'll be, yeah.
at? Okay. All right. We look forward to that. In terms of the undercard on Saturday night, Frank, let's start with Ezra Taylor. Obviously, had a late replacement coming in, Steve Woodall, who was a really durable competitor. It's a shame we didn't get to see the Edmondson fight. But what did you make of Ezra's performance?
I thought he boxed well, and I thought Woodall came in, and I thought he should be commended. He came in to fight. He was tough. He was brave, and Ezra really boxed well. Once he settled down after a few rounds, he was boxing extremely well. Really good jab, threw some nice uppercuts, some really good shots, and Woodall, as I said, I'd take my hat off to him. It was it was quite a competitive fight for a while.
So now with Ezra, do you take him to European/fringe world level, or do you make the Edmondson fight next for him?
I like the Edmondson fight still, but we'll work that out in the next couple of days.
Okay. I thought on the undercard, really, the man who stole the show was Royston Barney-Smith. A magnificent performance from him.
He boxed extremely well against a very difficult or I should say awkward opponent. You know, he was a bit of a spoiler in some ways, but there's a bit of a too much head movement. But at the end of the day, Royston stuck to his task and done what he had to do, and he wobbled him a couple of times in the fight. And it's good for him also to get that experience and those rounds under his belt. So I'm pleased with his performance.
Frank, you can always tell when someone makes, the big first step up in their professional career, whether they've got elite potential or not, because actually it seemed like Royston's best performance in his professional career has come up as the opponent's gone up in level. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I would do but that's what a good fighter will do because you step him up, you keep stepping him up. He served his apprenticeship. He's had a good win on Saturday. Early next year we'll have him out again, and he'll be in a meaningful fight. I mean, next year he'll be up there fighting. I hope for a European or a fight to get him into the top 5 in the world.
I guess with him and Ryan Garner, you could do some big shows down in the South Coast.
Big fight, big fight. Ryan's looking to fight. We're looking with Ryan to get him a world title fight in the spring. And if that happens, that'd be a great fight, wouldn't it, down the road? Hampshire, is it Hampshire? Hampshire.
Yeah.
Who's the best in Hampshire? Be a great fight to put on between the both of them. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Anything else from the card stick out, Frank? Obviously, Mitchell Smith. What story?
Yeah, it's a good story. But I'll tell you what, his opponent, I thought, he's a young kid. I thought he boxed extremely well, showed a lot of courage, a lot of heart. He boxed really well. And a couple of our youngsters early on in the night really did well. Really did well.
Yeah, Hassan Ishak with a brilliant stoppage.
He's a good fighter.
Yeah,
he's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. He's going places. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah. When you look at your young stable, how do you look at it? The young stable you've got.
I look on it with real, really thinking good things about the future because they're the future of boxing, British boxing, and they'll be future of world boxing because I think there's some kids there, some youngsters there who are very talented, and I do believe they'll go on and become world champions. This is what we love doing. We love this, bringing these youngsters through and developing. And there's some good quality youngsters there.
Right, just to close off, the action doesn't stop. We're straight into another fight week up in Manchester this Saturday night for Joshua Buatsi v Zach Parker. Buatsi's Queensberry debut. A very good fight on paper. Buatsi, you'd say, will go in as favourite, but no easy Queensberry debut for Joshua Buatsi this Saturday.
No, he's in with another Queensberry fighter in Zach Parker. We're putting the best fight and the best together. You look at it, he's had 20 fights, Josh, and I think Zach's had 27 fights. They've got one loss apiece. This is a big fight for both of them, meaningful fight. bit like Saturday's fight, really. You know, the winner would go on and get himself a world title fight. I'm very, very confident of that. And so I'm looking, as I say, I am looking forward to it because I think it's going to be a bit of a real battle of wills between the two of them. It's a quality fight, and the undercard's a good fight. You know, we're very strong now in the light heavyweight division. We're trying to do the same there as we did, or we are doing in the heavyweight division. You got Liam Cameron in with Troy Jones. That's a cracker of a fight. Got Manchester Derby with Lyndon Arthur and Brad Ray, and a really good undercard beneath them all. I mean, it's a really good quality fight card.
Definitely. Is the winner of Buatsi-Parker looking at what goes on in November 22nd with Benavidez and Yard?
Every world-class heavyweight, light heavyweight, is doing that, and a lot of these guys are with us. And let's hope that Anthony comes back with a prize.
Okay, well, listen.
That's a good card out. I mean, that's a great card in Riyadh. You know, that main event, Benavidez and Anthony Yard, it's an intriguing and a good fight. You know, Anthony's going to go in as or Sushai Benavidez is obviously favourite, and he's a great fighter, undefeated in 30 fights. But I feel that Anthony Yard now is going in with a lot of experience. He's been there. He's been unlucky, but he's given a really good account of himself, and he's got a good opportunity now at his age to go and have another go at fighting for a world title. So I do think he's got a great chance, and fingers crossed he comes through. And we got a fabulous fight, two undefeated fighters in Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes. That's a cracker of a fight. And Sam's on fire at the moment. I know he's working very hard, and I hope he can pull it off. And I believe he can do it. He definitely has the tools to do it.
Yep. Big night in Manchester this Saturday, and big night in Riyadh, of course, November 22nd. Listen, Frank, I think the last word has to go to Fabio Wardley if he watches this, and the city and the town of Ipswich. A lot of Ipswich fans were in there on Saturday night, so I'll leave the final word from you to them.
It was a fab performance from Fab. Brilliant. I mean, he done himself, and he done Ipswich proud, and he done British boxing proud, and he's got himself well and truly into a position now where he deserves to be for all his endeavour. He's just got such a big heart. He's such a nice guy, and we make sure that he gets that opportunity next year. He'll get that opportunity, and let me tell you something. I won't be surprised in the least if he was to become full world champion. He's interim world champion. What about that? How many people have been saying that 20 fights ago? For a guy who's never had a fight, had a couple of white collar or blue collar fights, whatever they call them. Who'd have ever thought that? Beat the world number 2. Beat a bronze medalist from the Olympic Games.
Yeah, it's remarkable. He's on the cusp of winning the 4 belts. Frank, thank you very much for your time, and we shall speak soon in Manchester.
We certainly will, young man. Speak to you later.